1. The light of faith. A novice monk asked the elder monk, "Master, the pure land that people often speak of, I cannot see it, so how can I believe in it?" The elder monk took the novice into a dark room and said, "There is a hammer in the corner." The novice monk, whether he opened his eyes wide or squinted, could not see anything. He had no choice but to tell his master that he could not see anything at all. Then the elder monk lit a candle to illuminate the room, and indeed, there was a hammer in the corner. He said to the disciple, "Just because you cannot see something does not mean it does not exist, right?" At this moment, the novice monk was astonished, and his long-held doubts were finally resolved. 2. Heaven and Hell. A warrior asked a Zen master, "What is the difference between heaven and hell?" The Zen master asked in return, "Who are you?" The warrior replied, "I am a warrior." The Zen master laughed and said, "Someone as coarse as you is not fit to ask me such a question." The warrior was furious, drew his sword, and aimed at the Zen master. "See how I will kill you." When the sword was just inches from the Zen master's head, he calmly said, "This is hell." The warrior was astonished, hurriedly stopped his hand, and suddenly seemed to understand. He threw away his sword, clasped his hands, and bowed. "Thank you, master, for teaching me. Please forgive my rudeness." The Zen master smiled and said, "This is heaven. Lesson. Every person has both good and evil, positive and negative sides. Uncontrolled anger will lead one to hell, while carrying kind thoughts and returning to one's original pure nature will open the door to heaven. 3. Self-worth. A young man went to a monk to ask for guidance. "Master, some people say I am a genius, and others say I am a fool. What do you think? How do you see yourself?" the monk asked in return. The young man was confused. The monk continued, "For example, a pound of rice in the eyes of a cook is a few bowls of rice. In the eyes of a baker, it is a few cakes. In the eyes of a brewer, it is a few glasses of wine. Rice is still rice. Similarly, you are still you. Your abilities depend on how you perceive yourself." Hearing the monk's words, the young man finally understood. Lesson. Do not fear being underestimated by others. Fear underestimating yourself. Who says you have no value? No one can decide your life for you. The path you choose determines how your future will develop. The greatest value in life is being aware of your own worth. 4. Self-Reliance. A farmer went to a temple to bow before the Buddha, praying for peace for his family. After several kowtows, the farmer noticed someone beside him also bowing. Strangely, this person looked exactly like the statue of Buddha on the high altar. The farmer was very confused and asked softly, "Are you the Buddha?" The other replied, "Yes." The farmer was even more bewildered and asked, "Then why are you still bowing?" The other answered, "Because I know that praying, relying on, or begging others is not as good as relying on oneself. Only oneself can truly help oneself, and one should not depend on others." 5. The compassion of a high monk. A warrior holding a fish went to a high monk's room. The warrior said, "Let's make a bet. Tell me, is the fish in my hand alive or dead?" The high monk knew that if he said the fish was dead, the warrior would release it. But if he said it was alive, the warrior would secretly squeeze it to death immediately. So, the high monk replied, "The fish is dead." The warrior immediately released the fish and laughed. "You lose, monk. Look, the fish is clearly still alive." The high monk smiled and said, "Yes, I lost." Lesson. The high monk indeed lost the bet, but he saved the fish. This is the compassion of a practitioner. Compassion for all beings and oneself carries a profound meaning, helping to expand one's heart and making oneself noble, sensitive, and more resilient. 6. The lesson of endurance. Han Shan asked Shurda, "In this world, there are people who slander me, bully me, insult me, ridicule me, despise me, take advantage of me, and deceive me. How should I deal with these people?" Shurda replied, "Endure them, yield to them, avoid them, follow them, bear with them, respect them, and ignore them. After a few years, look at them again." Lesson. Those who cause trouble are the ones who give you the opportunity to reflect on yourself and help you make positive changes in your character. People who cause trouble for us are like mirrors. They help us realize that we have created a distorted and exaggerated version of ourselves. We find our true selves and live honestly with what we have. Be grateful to those who cause difficulties in your life. Learn from them, and they will show you exactly what kind of person you do not want to become. 6. The lesson of endurance. Han Shan asked Shurda, "In this world, there are people who slander me, bully me, insult me, ridicule me, despise me, take advantage of me, and deceive me. How should I deal with these people?" Shurda replied, "Endure them, yield to them, avoid them, follow them, bear with them, respect them, and ignore them. After a few years, look at them again." Lesson. Those who cause trouble are the ones who give you the opportunity to reflect on yourself and help you make positive changes in your character. People who cause trouble for us are like mirrors. They help us realize that we have created a distorted and exaggerated version of ourselves. We find our true selves and live honestly with what we have. Be grateful to those who cause difficulties in your life. Learn from them, and they will show you exactly what kind of person you do not want to become. 7. The full cup. Nansen was a Zen master during the Meiji period in Japan. One day, a highly knowledgeable professor visited him to inquire about Zen. Nansen offered him tea. The Zen master poured tea into the visitor's cup until it was full and continued pouring. The professor watched the tea overflow and could no longer restrain himself. "It is overflowing. No more will go in." "Like this cup," Nansen said, "you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" Lesson. This story does not apply only to learning Zen. To understand anything in life, a religion, a person, a group of people, a culture, a nation, a history, a case, we must eliminate all prejudices, assumptions, and conclusions in our minds about that field. Keep an open mind, like an empty cup or a blank sheet of paper, and you will be able to learn and absorb new things. 8. The cup and the lake. There was a Zen master who had a disciple who complained a lot. One day, the Zen master put a spoonful of salt in a cup of water and gave it to the disciple to drink. The disciple said, "It's too salty to drink." The Zen master then poured more salt into a lake and asked the disciple to taste the water from the lake. The disciple drank and said, "It is sweet and pure." The Zen master said, "The suffering in life is like the salt. Its bitterness depends on the container that holds it. Do you want to be a cup of water or a lake?" The disciple understood and complained much less, always opening his heart to accept everything in life. 9. Seeds of fate. In the scorching summer, the grass in the temple yard withered, looking very unsightly. The novice monk said to his master, "Master, how about we scatter some seeds?" The master said, "Don't be in a hurry. Let it be." When they had the seeds, the master said to the novice monk, "Go and plant them." Unexpectedly, a strong wind blew, scattering many seeds. The novice monk hurriedly told the master, "Master, many seeds have been blown away." The master replied, "No matter. The blown seeds are empty. Even if planted, they will not sprout. Let it be." After scattering the remaining seeds, some birds came and pecked at the seeds. The novice monk drove away the birds and ran to tell the master, "It's not good, master. The seeds have been eaten by the birds." The master calmly replied, "Don't worry, there are many seeds. They can't eat them all. Let it be." That night, a heavy storm came. The novice monk cried to his master, "This time it's really over. All the seeds have been washed away by the rain." The master replied, "Let them be washed away. They will sprout wherever they are carried. Let it be." A few days later, the withered ground was covered with many green sprouts, even in places where no seeds were originally sown. The novice monk was overjoyed. "Master, look, the seeds have sprouted." The master remained calm and said, "It should be so, let it be." 10. The mind's eye sees Buddha. One day, Su Dongpa visited the monk Foyan and they had a chat, sitting cross-legged discussing Zen. During their joyful conversation, Su Dongpa asked, "What do you see me as now?" Monk Foyan said, "I see you as a Buddha." Seeing Foyan round and wearing a black robe, Su Dongpa immediately replied, "I see you as a pile of cow dung." Monk Foyan only smiled and said nothing. Su Dompa was very proud, thinking he had one. When he returned home, he proudly told his sister about the encounter. Su Dompa's sister heard the story and said, "Brother, you lost? The monk's heart is as vast as Buddha's realm, so he saw you as Buddha. Your heart is like cow dung, so you saw the monk as a pile of cow dung." Hearing his sister's words, Su Dompa's face turned red, realizing he had lost heavily. Lesson: the more generous and broad-hearted a person is, the more they see good things. A narrow-minded,